The finale of Dispatch just came out, and boy, do I have a lot I want to say. On one hand, it has such an engaging story and great characters to the point where I played through it 3 times in the past week because I couldn't stop thinking about it. And on the other hand, there are some questionable writing decisions, mainly with the story, that keep it from being a truly amazing game in my mind. I'll try to keep the first chunk of this video spoiler-free, so I'll talk about the story later, and for now, we can start with the good things, and thankfully, there's a lot to like. First off, the animation is surprisingly great. The 3D Spider-Verse-esque style serves this game really well, and to be honest, there were multiple times where I felt like I was just watching a TV show. And this level of quality is kept up during the action scenes as well. There's a fight in a bar during episode 5 in particular that I love because of how it mixes the comedy and the animation really well. This is all probably obvious at first glance, but it's not a praise I'm hearing too many people sing. What I am hearing people sing praises for, and for good reason, is the soundtrack. I was not expecting it to be this good. A lot of really great gaming soundtracks, like Nier Automata or Expedition 33, are beautiful, no doubt, but they're very cinematic songs, and you won't hear me listening to them casually. Dispatch, on the other hand, has multiple songs that you will catch me listening to casually. The song that plays during Robert's house party, for instance, is really fun to listen to, and I'd say the same goes for almost every song that plays during the end credits of each episode, to the point where I just let the credits play for a bit sometimes. And did I mention that one of the artists for multiple songs in the game is a voice actor for a character in the game? And I don't know how that worked, if they asked to use her song and then asked if she wanted to be a voice actor or what, but she is great as Prism. In fact, I can't say there's a single voice actor that does a bad job or doesn't fit their character. Yes, that includes Moist Critical as Sonar, who sure isn't giving a breathtaking performance, but the fact that I was able to separate the voice from the character when listening to Sonar speak is a win in my book. The standout performance, though, is of course Aaron Paul as Robert Robertson. The man gives a fantastic performance as usual. I have zero clue how ADOC afforded him, but you won't see me complaining. Another thing this game does extremely well is the humor. It is undeniably a funny-ass game. There were so many jokes that got an audible chuckle out of me, and that doesn't happen often. I could play clip after clip of moments I thought were hilarious, but that wouldn't be as funny as playing through it yourself. Part of what makes the humor work is the context and how it naturally blends into the story. It never feels like the humor is thrown in at the wrong time, or that the story is slowing down for the sake of a gag. And that goes for the pacing of the story as a whole. I think it flows really well for the most part. And that's partially due to the gameplay. In an attempt to slow the story down and pad the runtime out a bit, the game has these sections in every episode where you answer distress calls and assign your heroes to go and complete those calls. And with the more calls your heroes complete, the more they level up, which will let them complete harder and harder calls. That's pretty much the entire gameplay loop summed up. It's really not that complicated, but it serves its purpose. It is, however, completely pointless. I tested this and did a playthrough where I didn't answer a single distress call just to see how far I could get, and I made it through the entire game without a single issue. In fact, after the first shift, Blonde Blazer says something like, "I have never seen a better shift than that." And honestly, I just want to know who the dispatcher was before me, because that's just sad. I wouldn't say it personally bothered me, but it would have been nice to have some kind of consequences. Maybe the game autofills you if you mess up a certain amount of calls, or the dialogue is different depending on how well you do, something like that. Regardless, it's still fun to do, and there's a lot of funny voice lines you get to hear from the Z-Team, so it's still worthwhile. The QuickTime events are also in the same boat. You can do them, you can not do them, it doesn't matter. I will say the sensitivity on the QuickTime events was a little too low, but that's a tiny complaint, and if I play through it again, I'll probably turn on cinematic mode anyway. Because at the end of the day, I'm here for the characters and the story. But to talk about that, I'm gonna have to get into spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, then go to this timestamp here. Are you gone yet? It's a pretty good story, so skip now if you want to experience it for yourself. Okay, so this story revolves around Robert Robertson III, a hero who ends up in charge of a team of reformed supervillains called the Z-Team. And this Z-Team is great. Every character is unique and funny, and you really grow to appreciate all of them. My personal favorite member is probably Flambe. You get a good amount of development from him in the middle of the season. But really, you could ask 100 different people who their favorite Z-Team member is, and they will all say they like different members for different reasons. And I think that's great. It helps that the dialogue is all well written. These characters all feel like real living people, and their chemistry feels natural. But it's not just the Z-Team you interact with, you get help from some of your coworkers as well. Chase, in particular, aka Trackstar, couldn't be a better best friend. Despite his deceptive age, he's basically been a brother to Robert for most of his life, and their relationship is really heartwarming. The game almost had me tearing up when he was going to sacrifice his life to save Invisigal. I liked him that much. But as much as I love Chase, I think Blonde Blazer in particular is my GOAT. She is consistently batting for you throughout the entire season, she saves your life multiple times, and if you're a person of culture, you can choose to romance her as well. And don't give me none of that, but she's a cheater, because if I hear that one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. Getting into a relationship soon after finishing a previous one does not make you a cheater. Especially since if you do the tiniest amount of research, you'll find that Blonde Blazer was already unhappy in her relationship with Phenomenon and was planning to break up with him anyway. And if you choose not to romance her, then she's mature about it and doesn't try to come onto you like a certain other romance option. But I think the fact that we can have this debate in the first place speaks to the quality of the writing. All of these characters are so good, and it helps this is a choice-based game. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't a complicated choose-your-own-adventure game. It's more of an interactive movie. I've heard some complaints that there aren't enough big story-altering changes, but that's not what this game is. Your choices aren't about changing the story itself for the most part, but more about the way the story is experienced. And even then, there are plenty of big choices throughout the game if you're looking for them, especially with the ending. Now, while I love the people in the story, I cannot say the same about the story itself. You see, while you've been busy bonding with your team, the main villain Shroud has been looking for something called the Astropulse, which is basically just a super energy source. It's not important for this argument. The issue I have is after the prologue, Shroud isn't really brought up again until the last 2 to 3 episodes. And each episode outside of the finale is only about 40 minutes, with a third of that time spent dispatching your heroes. So there just isn't enough time to make Shroud a compelling villain with everything going on. He's intimidating, sure, and we do get little pieces of development when he talks about working with Robert's dad, but not enough to make me care about him. In my opinion, there really needed to be just one more episode to add some emotional weight to the finale, because the emotional payoff we do get is all centered around Invisigal and her internal struggle. And in my opinion, this is the sole aspect of the game that I can say was straight up done bad. I'm not talking about her in the first chunk of the season, because she was great for a long time, just like every other character. But they derail her so hard after episode 7. See, in episode 7, we learn that she actually worked for Shroud in the past, and was the one who planted the bomb on Robert in the prologue. It's a great emotional twist, and it's nice she was the one to reveal it to us. It shows vulnerability, and it means we can trust her now. Right? Actually, no. Because during the finale, she tries to steal the Mecha Man suit for some reason. Yeah, what was her plan here? Was she trying to pilot it herself? Maybe. I guess that's the only thing that kinda makes sense. But if so, she didn't have a reason not to explain it in the moment. It's a little fishy to me, but oh well. She comes back in the final fight to help against Shroud, and even helps to defeat multiple of his goons, so that has to mean she's a good guy. Right? Wrong again. The final twist is that she's actually been working under Shroud the entire game, even after the bomb incident. Okay, what? That doesn't make any sense. If Shroud assumed that Vizzy worked for him, which he did, then why did he almost kill her at the warehouse in episode 6? Oh, he was just playing it up because he knew Robert was watching the security camera. What? You're saying that trying to fool Robert just a little longer was more important to Shroud's plan than taking the Astropulse right then and there? You know, his end goal for the entire game? Oh, well, Vizzy only joined Aside after episode 6. Okay, well, ignoring the fact that Shroud told us he planted her as a mole from the beginning of the game, let's pretend for a second that's not the case. If he knew she had the Astral Pulse, then why didn't he get it from her during episode 7 when they weren't working together? Did he just not feel like it? And why did he ambush Robert at the bar? Was that just to play with Robert a little longer too? Does Shroud even want the Astral Pulse at this point? I just can't forgive this. I get there's a ton of nuance with her character, but how much internal consistency are you willing to sacrifice to make this completely unnecessary twist work? And even if I start huffing the copium when it comes to the logic, unless you're playing with full confidence in Invisigal no matter what, then you're probably going to be annoyed and unsatisfied. Did she really never buy into being a hero the whole time? Was she completely manipulating Robert from the beginning? The answer to both seems to be yes, and to me, that's just frustrating. But this fanbase does seem to have a weirdly large number of Invisigal Glazers, so who am I to say? Regardless, it is nice seeing her finally become a real hero in the end if you choose to support her at every turn, and the writing everywhere else is fantastic. It's just the ending that feels like an unfortunate fumble, and I hate to see an amazing game end like this. I have heard a lot of hype for a Season 2 since before the finale even dropped, but I'm hesitant to get my hopes up. Because I know y'all don't like to hear this, but it's very possible there just won't be a Season 2. I hope not, but I have a hard time imagining they could pull off a second season without making one of the endings to this game canon. And doing that would disappoint a lot of people, including me. But hey, if there is more Dispatch coming, then I will certainly be looking forward to it. And if not, then that's fine too. My opinion on this game does not change. Because even with its few flaws, Dispatch as a whole is absolutely a great game. And I give it an 8 out of 10.